Don't even sound. I want to put her on blast because she was telling me, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got. I was doing footage. I had pictures, all the stuff that I had. You could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received, and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I'm like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture look like $10,000, $15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, one thing led to another, and I was like, all right, well then, F you, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and goes out.
Gan Deal has finally broken his silence, and what is coming forward with is nothing short of explosive. You remember that Diddy documentary on Netflix that's been dominating conversations everywhere? Well, what most people don't realize is that some of the most disturbing material never made it on screen. The footage Gan Deal brought to the table was considered too controversial, even for Netflix. Now, he's preparing to release everything that was cut, censored, or quietly buried. And once it's out, it could completely change the narrative. If you clicked on this video looking for the unfiltered truth, you're in the right place, because that's exactly what's about to unfold. Gan Deal, Diddy's former longtime bodyguard, recently sat down for an interview and decided he was done holding back. This is someone who was there behind closed doors, witnessing events most people only speculate about. He was originally slated to appear in the Netflix project and even spent over 45 minutes in
documentary. They left a whole lot of key things out. If they was going to do something and they're going to say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big. It wasn't only Tupac, you understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in. You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around.
Conversation with 50 Cent himself. Plans were in motion until everything suddenly fell apart. According to Gan, a heated encounter with the documentary's director led him to walk away entirely. Now, he's revealing the stories that never made the final cut. What's coming next isn't just gossip. It's first-hand accounts tied to some of the most controversial moments surrounding Diddy's inner circle. Gan is speaking on the City College tragedy, shedding new light on the death of Anthony Wolf Jones, revisiting unanswered questions surrounding Kim Porter,
and Jessica, you know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the step. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked
and exposing why certain A-list celebrities allegedly paid to keep their names out of the documentary. These are the pieces 50 Cent couldn't, or wouldn't, include, and Gan is ready to release them himself. Before we get into the leaked details, you need to understand what was happening behind the scenes, because it's just as shocking as the revelations themselves. 50 Cent and Netflix recently dropped Sean Combs, The Reckoning, and it shot straight to #1. It's the documentary everyone's talking about. But what viewers don't see are the stories deliberately left on the cutting room floor. Gan Deal spent years as Diddy's bodyguard, front row to the parties, the power plays, the violence, and the secrets. He's been quietly collecting evidence and footage for years, waiting for the right moment. Gan genuinely believed the Netflix documentary would be that moment.
The documentary, the 50 Cent
No, I haven't seen it yet.
For Diddy.
I haven't seen it.
Oh man, you working
Everybody
hard.
telling me you got to see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Part of me don't want to see it
you probably don't.
because it's all skewed, man. Like when you put stuff together, you create whatever narratives you want to, and at the end of the day, everybody being programmed. You know, right now the man's serving time.
Right.
You know, he went before the court. The court said this, and everything is God. But God said this is what he.
He trusted the vision and expected the truth to finally come out. But everything changed after his meeting with director Alex Stapleton. According to Gann, that conversation went sideways fast, ending with what he felt was blatant disrespect. That was the breaking point. He walked away from the project, and now, he's telling the story his own way. Clips. Gann wanted to handle this the right way from the start. He didn't come alone. He tried to bring together two other men who had known Diddy since the very beginning, Tim and Kirk Burroughs. Together, these three had the full picture. They could have told the entire story, from Diddy's early life and street connections to the rise of his business empire and everything in between. Gann proposed a package deal, $50,000 for all three of them. Considering the years of first-hand access, documented footage, and evidence they possessed, that number was more than reasonable. That's when things took a turn. According to Gann, director Alex Stapleton dropped a bombshell during negotiations. She told him that 50 Cent didn't actually have creative control over the documentary and didn't decide who got paid.
That footage of Diddy.
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
In her words, 50's name was essentially being used as a promotional tool, not as someone with real authority over the project. That alone left Gann feeling blindsided, but it didn't stop there. He came prepared with invoices showing what other productions had paid him in the past. Instead of negotiating, Stapleton allegedly accused him of lying outright. For Gann, that was the breaking point. Think about that for a moment. This is a man who spent years protecting Diddy, putting his life on the line, witnessing serious criminal activity, and quietly gathering evidence. To then be dismissed and called dishonest was something he wasn't willing to tolerate. And while Gann was trying to secure fair compensation for everyone involved, another complication surfaced. Kirk Burroughs, one of the same men Gann was advocating for, was reportedly making private side deals behind the scenes. It was every man for himself. Gann refused to play that game, and he walked away entirely. That decision explains why the Netflix documentary feels incomplete. The person who arguably knew the most, who had the clearest view behind the curtain, chose not to participate. But now, Gann is ready to reveal the pieces that were left out, starting with something the documentary barely explored, the real structure of Bad Boy Records. Here's where it gets critical. From the very beginning, Kirk Burroughs owned 25% of Bad Boy Records, while Diddy controlled the remaining 75%. But the company wasn't officially in Diddy's name. It was registered under his mother, Janice Combs. That wasn't accidental. According to Gann, it was a calculated move to shield Diddy from legal responsibility. He knew lawsuits were coming, especially after the City College tragedy, where an event tied to Diddy resulted in 9 deaths. The families were expected to sue, and putting the company under his mother's name created a legal buffer. Eventually, Diddy allegedly wanted full control of the company, including Kirk's 25%. Kirk himself has stated that Diddy showed up with a baseball bat and threatened his life, forcing him to sign over his ownership stake. When Kirk attempted to sue in 2003, the case was dismissed because too much time had passed. The result? A co-founder who helped build Bad Boy Records from the ground up was left with nothing. At one point, Kirk was reportedly homeless, while Diddy went on to become a billionaire off the very company they created together. The documentary briefly acknowledged this story, but it never fully connected the dots. Gann Deal could have explained the entire strategy, how the company was structured, how money and liability were hidden, and how power was enforced through intimidation. None of that made it into the final cut. And once you understand what was left out, it raises a very uncomfortable question. Why didn't they want this part of the story told? Clips. This is where the story takes a truly disturbing turn. According to Gann Deal, one of the most serious and explosive chapters was almost entirely left out of the documentary: the killing of Anthony Wolf Jones. Wolf wasn't just another name connected to Bad Boy Records. He was the company's head of security from the very beginning, long before the major record deals, long before industry power players like Clive Davis entered the picture. Wolf was there at the ground level. He was fiercely loyal, deeply trusted, and fully aware of everything happening behind the scenes. Gann describes Wolf as someone who knew far too much. He understood how money moved, who was protected, what really went on at private events, and how certain situations were handled when things went wrong. In Gann's words, Wolf had knowledge that made him dangerous. And according to Gann, Diddy's decision set off a chain of events that ultimately led to Wolf's death. Gann believes the documentary team simply wasn't equipped, or wasn't willing, to tell this story properly. Either they didn't dig deep enough to uncover the full truth, or they chose to avoid it altogether. Wolf was allegedly killed by individuals connected to BMF, the Black Mafia family, one of the most notorious criminal organizations tied to the hip-hop world. Gann insists this was not a coincidence and that there is a direct link between Wolf's murder and Diddy himself. Yet in the documentary, Wolf's role is barely acknowledged. A few photos appear on screen, he's identified as part of security, and then the narrative moves on. No context, no investigation, no accountability. Gann says the reason is simple: this story is dangerous. It involves organized crime, real violence, and consequences that extend far beyond music and entertainment. Netflix didn't want to touch it, and it's likely others didn't either. But according to Gann Deal, Wolf's death wasn't random. It was connected to everything, and it's a truth that has been buried for far too long. Clips. What the documentary failed to explain is that Gann Deal wasn't just someone who heard about the City College tragedy. He was actually there that night. He saw it unfold in real time, and what he describes completely reshapes the official narrative. On December 28, 1991, Diddy helped organize a celebrity basketball game at City College in New York. It was promoted as a major charity event, with Heavy D involved and a long list of high-profile names expected to attend, including Mike Tyson and LL Cool J. The turnout was massive, far beyond what the venue could safely handle. Gann's security team had been hired to manage the situation outside the building. He had 18 trained men, guard dogs, secured entry points, and crowd control measures in place. Gann understood the energy of Harlem when celebrities appeared. He knew exactly how quickly excitement could turn into chaos. But just one day before the event, Diddy informed Gann that Heavy D no longer wanted his security team involved. They were dismissed without warning, leaving the event with no proper external crowd control. The night of the game, thousands of people flooded the area trying to get inside. When Mike Tyson and LL Cool J unexpectedly entered through the main entrance instead of a secured back entrance, the crowd surged forward. Panic erupted. People were pushed into a stairwell, bodies piling on top of one another as the pressure increased. That's when a critical decision was made, one that the documentary never fully addressed. Gann says one of the event's promoters, Jessica Rosenblum, panicked when she saw the crowd escalating. But according to Gann, her concern wasn't the people, it was the cash. The ticket money had been collected and stored nearby, and in an attempt to protect it, she allegedly locked a door at the bottom of the stairwell. That single action trapped hundreds of people inside with nowhere to escape. 9 young people died after being crushed in that confined space. Gann tried to reach the stairwell but was blocked by the sheer force of the crowd. He had to run around the building, enter through a different access point, and begin unlocking doors from the inside. By the time he reached the victims, it was already too late for several of them. Gann personally attempted CPR on a 17-year-old boy who did not survive. He recalls the boy's older brother sobbing, saying it was the first time he had ever taken his younger sibling out and fearing how he would face his mother. These are moments Gann says never leave you. Despite her role being documented in older news coverage, Jessica Rosenblum was never charged or held legally responsible. The documentary mentioned the tragedy, but it centered its focus almost entirely on Diddy and Heavy D. It never explained why Gann's security team was removed, nor did it acknowledge that a locked door, meant to protect money, was a direct factor in the deaths. Gann was prepared to explain all of this on record, but his account was excluded. That exclusion is a major reason Gann ultimately walked away from the project. Behind the scenes, he had proposed a joint deal that included himself, Tim, and Kirk Burroughs, 3 men who each understood different sides of Diddy's world. Tim knew the early life and upbringing, Kirk understood the business structure, and Gann had first-hand knowledge of the street-level violence and security operations. Together, they could have told the complete story. However, negotiations with director Alex Stapleton quickly deteriorated. Gann was told his compensation request was unreasonable, despite him presenting invoices showing similar payments from past documentaries. His evidence was dismissed. What truly unsettled him was being told that 50 Cent didn't actually control the documentary's content or payment decisions, that his name was being used primarily for marketing purposes. The project was promoted as 50 Cent's expose, yet behind the scenes, he allegedly had limited creative authority. At the same time, Gann discovered that Kirk Burroughs was negotiating independently, pushing Gann to accept less while securing his own separate deal. Feeling undermined and disrespected, Gann walked away entirely. That decision, he believes, is why the documentary feels incomplete, because the person with the deepest first-hand knowledge refused to participate. Another glaring omission was Kim Porter. Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of his children passed away suddenly in 2018 at just 47 years old. The official cause was pneumonia, but questions have lingered ever since. Kim knew Diddy intimately, his lifestyle, his business dealings, his private world. Gan knew her personally and says she had knowledge that could have changed public perception. Yet the documentary barely acknowledged her role, offering only brief mentions and photos before moving on. Gan also raises questions about the absence of A-list celebrities in the documentary. Diddy hosted massive parties for decades, attended by powerful figures across entertainment, sports, and politics. Yet none of those individuals are named or discussed in detail. Gan believes this wasn't accidental. He suggests that certain celebrities paid to ensure their names stayed out of the project, protecting their careers and reputations. In his view, the documentary presents a sanitized version of events, one that isolates Diddy while shielding others who may have been involved. Gandil believes the truth is far bigger than what Netflix showed. And now, after years of silence, he's making it clear that the full story has yet to be told. Clips. And when it comes to celebrities choosing silence, Marlon Wayans' reaction to the documentary raised more than a few eyebrows. When asked whether he had watched it, Marlon brushed it off, saying he hadn't seen it and didn't plan to. But what really grabbed attention was how he explained his decision. He referred to the documentary as a narrative, adding that when footage is edited together, it can be shaped into whatever story the creators want. Everybody's being programmed, he said, a statement that immediately